Good morning, everyone, once again, and welcome to the third day of this conference. It is an honor to be here with you all. A lot of friendly faces and colleagues from the industry. Also, before we start, a quick shout out to Marina and the bench team for organizing this great conference, where I think the friendly atmosphere and the venue was just really great, and it's really good to reconnect with you all. So to start, I'm here with Charles from Hyatt, and Charles is Vice President of Franchise Operations at Hyatt. Charles, do you want to say a few words about yourself, which countries you cover?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Martin. And I think we'll have the great responsibility to warm up a bit the audience and the room, thanks to the evening last night and the dinner. So I'm I'm Charles. I'm looking after franchise operations for Europe, Middle East, Africa. Most of our portfolio is mainly based in Europe. And right now, Hyatt in the region has 40% of its portfolio is franchise.
Thanks, Charles. So coming to our topic, guest reviews for CAPEX placement decisions. Let's break it down a bit as a start. CAPEX has naturally always been a part of the life cycles of hotel product, and a very important one. But please tell us how and when exactly did guests suddenly get to owners and asset managers, boardrooms and Excel tables when talking about CAPEX?
So in Hyatt, we believe that the guest experience and then guest reviews are really the fundamentals of the financial performance of a property. And 8 years ago, Hyatt decided really to completely change their approach and start using data to track guest experience and to measure guest experience, because knowing that this is the foundation of the financial performance of a property in the future, we really decided to come back to the basics and really be able to measure the guest experience. The way we measure guest experience, and I'm sure most of you are aware, is through NPS score, Net Promoter Score. But that's something we started to track 10 years ago, but was always difficult to address specifically what to do to improve the Net Promoter Score, because there are so many factors that is affecting the Net Promoter Score that we started to work on additional core metrics that we know based on data, based on facts, that is driving the Net Promoter Score. So this is how we started our journey 10 years ago, and then we continue developing additional tools to track behaviors at the hotel level, at the portfolio level, to really measure and improve the guest experience. Why? And this is proven by data. Having a greater guest experience will drive higher RevPAR index, occupancy index, ADR index. And that works at the property level, but also at the portfolio level or at the brand level.
Charles, just to go back for a bit about who are not in operations and who are not with the brand. Can you explain a bit more about these KPIs and the tools that Hyatt uses basically to get these data, collect these data, analyze these data, and derive actual conclusions around it? So what's the technology and what are these KPIs you are talking about here?
Yeah, NPS, this is the main KPI we are measuring to really measure and track how the guest experience is evolving throughout the month, throughout the year. And this NPS is called for Net Promoter Score. And this is an index out of 100. And we all know that above 70, you have one of the greatest guest experience. And being above 70, that allow you to have repeat customers, increase your ADR, increase your occupancy, because this is based on facts. Having a 70 Net Promoter Score, that will definitely create sustainable performance on the long term. Talking about NPS, since it was very difficult to understand how to really on a day-to-day basis, but also when it comes to investment, what to do to really improve the guest experience, we break into this NPS score into 3 core metrics: cleanliness, working order, and customer service. Very simple. Cleanliness, we combine 2 things. First, when you check out of your room and we send a guest survey, we ask very simple question: was your room clean or not? Yes, no. Same thing for working order. Was everything working in your room? Yes, no. And customer service, this is a rating from 0 to 10. Why? Because we know that through those 3 key metrics, this is impacting positively the NPS score. So if you have a score regarding cleanliness, room cleanliness above 98 out of 100, that means you will impact positively the NPS score, which is impacting the overall guest experience, which is at the end allow you to increase your occupancy ADR and lead the market.
Charles, are we talking about property level, or are we talking about conclusions that are basically analyzed and derived at a portfolio level for Hyatt? And is it by scale? So is it the same technique and the same process for luxury and mid-scale?
This is exactly the same approach, same process for mid-scale, select service, full service, upscale, premium, and luxury. Because what we are measuring, in fact, is the perception of the guest when it comes to experience. So the expectation of the guest for a select service is obviously different from luxury service. So the rating will be affected, but the question remains the same. And that works throughout the entire portfolio. And I can talk about the Hyatt portfolio. This is how we prove per data that having a higher cleanliness score, that is improving the NPS score. The reason why I go so much in detail in cleanliness, working order, and customer service is because we combined the guest survey we are sending with guest reviews, text analytics. So in order to understand what is happening in room cleanliness when the guest is answering yes or no, we are using guest reviews. So we are gathering guest reviews through the different platforms, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, Expedia, and so on. And we are looking at what are the different words used and what is the impact on the overall score of the review. So if you take, for example, TripAdvisor, and the guest is mentioning about cleanliness, room cleanliness, was the score 5 out of 5, or was it 2 out of 5? If it's 2 out of 5, that means something wrong with the cleanliness. And because the reviews is telling you much more about the experience of the guest than only a simple question, that allow you really to understand what is behind room cleanliness. And if I take very specific example, is when a guest is saying room was clean or not, that could be either the carpet is properly vacuumed, or could be also the moisture in the shower. And when it comes to investment, the question is, do I need to change the carpet? Or is it a maintenance issue? Or is it a service issue? Or do I need to change the joint in the shower? Or is it just a maintenance issue? So,
Charles, before going into the investment part, actually, and the CAPEX decisions based on the reviews, sometimes I'm a bit biased about reviews, and naturally not all reviews are to be trusted, maybe. But the other question, which is more relevant here, I think, is that how do you balance, especially in the upper upscale to luxury segments, the uniqueness of certain properties and the profile and the USPs of these properties, and the demand of guests, because this is what comes to my mind is the guest really leading here the conversation, or is it something that Hyatt and other big brands can pride themselves and say that we know what's good for you? So what's the approach here?
So that's a combination, and thank you for the question. That's a combination of few factors. Guest reviews, guest experience is one factor that we take into account, and that help us to balance also the feedback from the hotel teams and the GMs. That also, is key when you start thinking about projections and what needs to happen next in your property. And then we also need to take into account what will happen in the next 5 years. What are the trends? So basically, guest reviews, guest experience helps you to balance a bit your approach, your opinions through data, and not only through emotions. Because in hospitality, working in operation in the past, many things are feelings, but sometimes you need to balance. And for that, looking at guest reviews for the past 2 years or 18 months helps to balance a bit your opinion about what needs to be done and how to prioritize.
But it means that it's still a mix then. So it's so just to say it out loud that that guest reviews is not the only factor driving Hyatt's CAPEX strategies.
No, absolutely not. No. No. But it's definitely a key component of making decisions. Trying to be more objective, in fact, in our decisions, but definitely not the only factor.
That's very good. That's very good. But of course, shifting a bit from the very subjective, sometimes I would say sometimes very subjective, GM and employee feedback to some measurable data, must enrich the picture a bit and help decisions. But it's another question that comes to my mind, whether, so based on my experience as well, and I'm sure based on your experience as well, employees can be also a very good source of feedback when talking about CAPEX and when talking about finding the weakest spots of design. So for example, if I'm just thinking of a waiter or bartender who needs to go around that huge counter every time, and where he tripped 3 times already in the past month, then he can give you some very good feedback.
No, absolutely. And we have the same approach when it comes to employee survey than guest reviews. But before answering your question about the employee survey and what we do, I just wanted to come back to emotions and feelings. When usually you start working on your CAPEX plan for the next 5 years, this is usually something you do around September, October. And that's usually post-summer. And usually the GM, the hotel, or even at the portfolio level will tell you most of the time you need to change the air conditioning because the summer season is over and they all think that air conditioning was the most critical thing to change in the next 12 months. And looking at the guest reviews, it tells you that before changing the air conditioning, that is very costly in your guest rooms, you may want to change the TV because this is the most common issues that is affecting the guest experience. And if you change your TV first, you will improve or create more value to your guest experience than the air conditioning. So it's just trying to explain some example how to balance the feedback you get from the team compared to basically what the guests are saying. Coming back to employee survey. Same approach for employee surveys and guest reviews. We do also regular guest surveys, employee survey, and based on their feedback, we also balance what needs to be done when it comes to renovation, when it comes to changing the back of house, staff canteen, what needs to be changed. Because again, we believe that having the best working conditions will help the team to be more experience and at ease to connect with the guest. And coming back to your example with the restaurants, sometimes we have kitchen in -1, restaurant is at ground floor, and as an asset manager, you think that this is really creating issues, productivity issue, and you would rather move the kitchen at the ground floor, starting to work on a new plan. But in fact, looking at the guest reviews, the employee survey, you will see that the dishwasher is always broken. And in order to impact positively the employee and therefore enhance the guest experience, you will rather change the dishwasher than already changing the kitchen at the ground floor. So again, this is all those examples is really to show how to balance the feedback we have from the team and from everyone with the data and the tools we are using to analyze those feedback.
Yeah, and I think it's very important. And when coming to owners and asset managers, I think everyone's keen to understand basically the return on investment when it comes to CAPEX decisions. And I'd like to ask you to share maybe some use cases, if you have, some real-life examples where this approach really yielded good results for your hotels. But tell the truth.
Yeah. So, since we believe that the great experience is a foundation to lead the market, have a greater RevPAR index, ADR index, occupancy index, we're always coming back to what needs to be done to really enhance and improve the guest experience. And one example that comes in my mind is recently we worked on a full PIP for a hotel portfolio. And the discussion was with the owner about keeping the carpet in the room or not. And this is sometimes never-ending conversation where the operator or the brand is telling the owner you need to get out of the carpet, you need to move to wood floor, and the owner is telling you no, I prefer carpet. So one way we find to really change the conversation, because at the end of the day is really to change the conversation, is again to use data. And we were looking at guest reviews for the past 12 months, and all any reference to carpet in the guest reviews was always linked to a negative feedback to the guest experience. Every time the guests were mentioning carpets, there was linked to a negative experience. By showing data, we changed the conversation, and the owner agreed on basically changing the carpet to wood floor. That obviously we increase the guest experience, but also that allow the owner to increase the ADR because the perception, the feeling, the luxury touch was really different from the carpet. So it looks very simple, but trying really to change the conversation and in order to drive better guest experience, to drive ADR up and drive the market, this is what makes the difference.
And how do you see, are we living the times when these guest reviews that we are talking about are pushing companies a bit towards really factoring in ESG aspects as well? So are these conclusions that you can derive from the reviews align actually with some sustainability thinking?
That's part of the reviews we got also. This is a direction we took 10 years ago. This is something that every year we run analysis to check again if guest experience is really driving RevPAR index, occupancy, and ADR, and this is still happening. So, and that's across all regions. It's not only about Europe, America, and no, that across all regions is working everywhere. obviously, guest experience is not the only driver that really helped the hotel to perform, but this is really the foundation. So yeah, and that's I think that will even increase more and more because we're always talking about experience, and I think, and this is what we believe in, is talking about guest experience is one thing, but being able to cross-check with data to make it more objective. I think this is where we manage to make the difference, and also because we're not only looking at guest reviews for the past month or 2 months, we have ability to look at for the past 24 months. So that also gives another perspective of what was performing at that time, why the hotel is not performing anymore. We can cross-check data and the guest experience with the financial performance. So it's definitely something where I think we will continue to invest more and more because we need to balance feelings to something a bit more objective.
I think that's a good last word. So thank you very much, Charles, and your input, and thank you for the audience, and have a very good day, and safe travels home for everyone involved. Bye.